All right, ladies and gentlemen, the apology is out, and it's time to react. Are we going to crucify Graham Stephan, or are we going to show him forgiveness for his involvement in FTX you know what? Let's go ahead and watch, and I'm going to give you my feedback.
What's up, you guys? So I know this video is long overdue, but I purposely wanted to wait until I had all the facts and could actually come to you with a concrete solution of what's being done moving forward. To start, let's talk about FTX US. This is a company that's been a recurring sponsor here on the channel since spring of this year. Prior to then, I was already familiar with the platform. I already had an account. I was already using them alongside several other cryptocurrency exchanges, and even though hindsight is 2020, back then they were one of the larger platforms and they seemingly dominated everything that they touched.
They also spent money hand over fist. I mean, holy crap, they spent a lot of money. That's what concerned me about them, as well as the interest rates they were paying on their crypto, bro. Now, what bothers me about this whole thing when it comes to Graham is that I think deep down in his heart, he's an index fund investor. He dollar cost averages into broadly diversified index funds, which I 100% agree with, and he's got some real estate on the side. Why is he venturing into cryptocurrency? That was always my issue with him. It's like, dude, you know this stuff is garbage. Deep down, you know it's worthless trash. And a big part of me thinks he did that because it got a lot of views on YouTube. And he's saying here he's got, multiple accounts inside of, multiple different crypto exchanges. I mean, yeah, maybe it's a small part of your portfolio, man, but I think you made a massive error, and you kind of betrayed your roots of prudent, intelligent investing by getting involved with crypto in the first place. But that's my opinion. Let's keep watching.
They told me that while other companies had thousands of employees and high overhead, they operated pretty lean with only a few hundred employees, and that allowed them to scale and adapt much faster than their competitors. Now, admittedly, I related to that because throughout my entire career in real estate, I lived below my means and I saved everything possible just so I would be able to invest. Throughout my beginnings of YouTube, I was a one-man show doing everything, and I thought that gave me a massive advantage because I wasn't this corporation. I was just me filming videos alone in a half-converted garage. And I was just a guy making the videos that I wished I could have seen back when I was younger. So on the most basic front, their business model made me feel comfortable because it was something that I was familiar with. Now,
just because a business doesn't have a lot of employees doesn't mean it's a good, well-controlled business. Yes, it's more profitable, obviously, because they're not paying as many employees. But if you don't have enough employees, you're probably lax in some other areas. Maybe you have so few employees that a lot of controls that should be in place and a lot of employees that should be there making sure those controls are implemented are not there. So while, yes, it can make a business more profitable, you always have to find the right balance of employees. I personally don't need any employees. I have a freaking small YouTube channel where I do everything myself. But once I get big enough, potentially, where I need a staff, or maybe some outsourced, help, 100% I'm going to freaking do it. Because you can't, you got to be careful with, missing over controls. Because you can't grow so fast that you kind of, overtake what your actual potential is with your current employees. That's kind of my thoughts on that, but whatever.
Somewhat separate from that, but earlier this year, cryptocurrency regulation was also a topic that was gaining a lot of attention. And when it came to that, they assured me that they were at the forefront of compliance and working closely with regulators to ensure that the entire space was a safer place for everybody. Now, in addition to that, during that review process, I also brought up my concern with their Earn program, which was offering up to 8% for certain holdings. They responded by saying that their yield programs were not publicly advertised and it was only used and paid for out of pocket as a marketing expense, much like any sort of bonus or promotional offer. Now, even though I had a lawyer reviewing everything that they sent, that was not enough. And despite them addressing everything that we asked for, we took them at their word, and that turned out to be a mistake.
And the reason I think he did that is because they offered him a boatload of money. That's just my opinion. And I totally get it. If somebody offered you $100,000 a month or $200,000 a month, you would probably be tempted to take up the offer, even if you had some reservations. And that's probably what happened. He probably overlooked a lot of concerns about this company because the dollar signs were big. That's just part of being human, man. Sometimes you make mistakes. Do I think Graham intentionally wanted to screw his fans? No. Do I think he was corrupted by the amount of money that FTX gave to him? Absolutely.
fact, just 3 months into the sponsorship with FTX, both Voyager and Celsius filed for bankruptcy. And at the time, I paused the sponsorship deal I had with them just to ensure that the same thing would not be happening to FTX US. That's when we conducted a 30-minute Zoom call where they assured me and a lawyer that they were properly capitalized, fully backed, and were in the financial position to even buy up the companies that were going bankrupt. They also explained that they had $1 billion in reserves and were at no risk of defaulting. So I continued my relationship with them under the belief that they were fully compliant and completely backed. However,
I don't know, man. I mean, like a 30-minute phone call, that was the point, Graham. I think you should have cut ties altogether. Because all of these crypto firms, they're interrelated. They're lending each other money. You know, the whole crypto market was running into issues. For you to sit there and believe what FTX was telling you after a 30-minute Zoom call, when you probably saw the writing on the wall with the entire crypto industry, I think that was a massive error. And by that point, man, you made a ton of money on the sponsorship. You could have backed out at that point, canceled the sponsorship, said, hey, you guys should probably get your money out of this now. I don't know if FTX would have sued you for that or whatever. And then you would have come out of this crystal freaking clear. But you continued the sponsorship because the money was good and because of a 30-minute phone call.
a few months after that, everything began to crumble down when leaked documents alleged that Sam Bankman-Fried was using customer funds, their parent company Alameda Research was over-collateralized by the value of their FTT token, and within days of this coming out, everything fell apart. I was never given any indication that this was ever the case from all of my prior research that I had done with them. And from the very beginning, their team made it clear that FTX US was a completely separate division from the rest of the parent companies, and they were not connected whatsoever. But that does not appear to be the case. From the moment I became aware of this,
Come on, you really think those weren't connected? It's the same freaking company, okay? Oh, I have a U.S. division, and then I have an international division. There's all sorts of intercompany, loans, receivables. There's all sorts of things that ties a business together. Just because they have different segments doesn't mean there's a massive interrelation there. Not in the slightest.
Posted a video, I cut my ties with them, and I warned people to get their money off the platform while they still could. But in the coming few days, withdrawals were eventually frozen, and they filed for bankruptcy. Since that moment, I felt misled alongside with everybody else, and I genuinely had no clue that any of this was going on behind the scenes. And it makes me sick to think that I put my trust in this company whose founder was completely keeping people in the dark.
I actually believe him. I don't think he's so corrupt and nasty and, so grifty that if he actually knew what FTX was engaging in, that he would have continued the sponsorship. Okay, I don't think he's that dumb. A lot of people are going to say, oh, duh, 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 duh. I think there's a more simple explanation, that he was corrupted by the amount of money and it led him to overlook some of his concerns. I don't think he actually would have screwed his fans like that, but maybe you think differently because he's a big YouTuber and he makes more money than you and you're jealous. I don't know.
Result of that, I've not only let down myself, but I've also let down everybody who watches my channel as a reliable source of information, and at the end of the day, that is what matters to me the most, more than anything. I've dedicated the last 6 years of my life non-stop to making YouTube videos that help people, that uplift them, and put them in a better place financially. And I'm sad to say that FTX did the exact opposite of what my entire mission was. It's not only a huge setback for the entirety of cryptocurrency, but also for all of you watching, and I can't even begin to share how devastated and sorry I am. After all of this occurred, I've had some time to reflect on how this happened, where I could have done better, and some of the mistakes that were made, and these are a few of the points that really stood out to me. To start, I made the mistake of working with a platform who operates within an industry that does not already have proper consumer protections in place. Second, on the most basic level, I made the mistake of assuming that Sam Bankman-Fried's image had anything to do with his credibility. This came from a comment that I made where I said that I trusted Sam more because he was worth billions of dollars and yet he drove a Toyota Corolla and lived this minimalistic lifestyle.
Man, Graham, do you like me? I mean, you should shout me out, man. I live in a small house. I got a Ford Fiesta. You can trust me 100%. At the end of the day, you can't really trust anybody on the surface. You have to look at their actions. What are they doing? What are they engaged in? Are they promoting index funds or are they promoting day trading and cryptocurrency? If somebody is involved in the crypto industry, I'm telling you, they're probably a scumbag because crypto has no intrinsic value. Cryptos can be created out of thin air. And look at all the scams that are being perpetuated in the crypto industry. It attracts scammers and traders because you cannot invest in cryptocurrency. It does not produce cash flow. Somebody that's a legitimate investor that actually understands investing wants nothing to do with cryptocurrency because it's just one massive fraud. I've been saying this for the past year and a half. And your mistake is that you got involved, buddy. Okay? Cut ties with everything related to cryptocurrency. You're an index fund investor and you're a real estate investor. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But you getting tied up in this whole crypto movement, it betrays the roots, the fundamental meaning behind your channel. Dump it now, man.
And I fell into his trap of effective altruism. I suppose that I've seen too many people flash Lamborghinis, designer clothes, and iced out jewelry, and I guess to me it was refreshing to see someone who I thought was beyond that and just wanted to focus on building something of value. On a slightly different topic from all of this, I also want to address established titles. They sponsored one of my videos posted a month ago, and this is actually something that I had received in the past as a fun gift, so I saw this as a unique way to support an organization that gives back to charity. However, there has been some speculation about their legitimacy. Regardless, I've donated the entire amount that I received to one tree planted, so that way, regardless of the outcome, at least a greater cause gets to benefit from this. On top of that, if you purchased an established title certificate using my link or anybody's link, they have a 60-day money-back guarantee. So if you're unhappy with your purchase and you signed up using my link, you still have another few weeks to get all of your money back.
Eventually I'll get around to talking about established titles again, like in detail. But the funny thing is, and other people have noted this, is that he gave back the money for established titles. You know, he donated it to the tree organization, the tree planting, liberal tree huggers. But at the same time, he's not giving all the money back he got from FTX. I'm going to tell you why he's not doing that. Because he probably doesn't have the liquid cash to give that money back. He probably made, I'm speculating, I have no idea if this is true, he probably made millions of dollars from FTX's sponsorship. Millions. And he's probably invested that in real estate and into mutual funds and all sorts of stuff. And while he could liquidate the mutual funds, it's such a large amount, he's not going to do it, okay? That's why I think he gave back to established titles. They probably gave him, who knows what they gave him, but it was probably a lot less than FTX. But if you've spent a lot of the money that they've given you, it's hard to give all that money back, is all I'm going to say. He could do it, but it would probably be severely damaging to his finances. And that's where he's kind of drawing the line. You can like it or hate it. That's just how it is.
Follow the instructions on their website, and if you have any difficulty, just reach out and I will do my best to help. As far as how I'm improving my sponsorship process going forward, I'll be ensuring that any companies I work with have the proper consumer protections already in place. That means for stocks, it's SIPC insurance, and for banks, it's FDIC insurance. That way, there's a framework in place to ensure that customers can be made whole in the unlikely event that something were to happen. The second, you might already be aware of this, but I am a small team. It's just me, it's Alex who edits these videos, Jack on the podcast, and a lawyer who reviews all the contracts. For the most part, I've operated the exact same way as when I first started, when no one was watching me, when I was making videos in my garage. In fact, I still have towels on my lights and I'm still using the exact same camera that I filmed on. But as much as I appreciate and love that dynamic, this whole event made me realize that there were blind spots that could have been improved as the channel grew. If you have any other
The blind spots were the money.
suggestions, I'm also completely open to hearing them out, and if you have any other suggestions for my own vetting process that I could do to improve, I'm all ears. And finally, let's talk about Millennial Money. Over the last 2 years, they've sponsored about 24 of those videos, and I wanted to ensure that no one else fell victim or was redirected back to FTX, because even with the link removed, it was still a possibility with their logo being on the screen. That's why the channel was made completely private, especially since we have not posted on that channel in months. I hope this helps explain everything and my thought process both in the moment and moving forward. Just like a scar, I understand that this is something that I'm going to carry with me for the rest of my life. But if there's one thing that I want to make certain, it's that I would never intentionally do anything to hurt anybody watching my videos ever. From the very beginning, I've always believed in the practice of responsible, diversified, long-term investing, dollar cost averaging through the ups and the downs, never carrying a balance on a credit card, and living below your means. I have repeated, sometimes to a fault, the exact same thing for years, and it should come as no surprise that this is still my message. Sam's actions have unfortunately gone against everything that I believe in, and I would do anything to be able to go back in time and take everything back. But I can't do that, so I'm sorry. And the best thing that I could do is to make right by all of you watching and do better in the future. And I am committed to doing exactly that for as long as I could make videos here on YouTube. So I really appreciate you watching. I hope this helps explain everything, and thanks for giving me a chance.
Well, he's going to continue to be roasted by people because at the end of the day, he still didn't give back the money that he made from FTX. He made millions of dollars from FTX, and people just hate other people that are richer than them and more successful than them. That's just how it is. At the end of the day, I mean, he made his apology. You can't really expect more from him. You can yell at him, complain to him, oh, blah, 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 blah. At the end of the day, that's how it shook out. But you need to remember, Graham, stay with your roots. Don't betray your roots, which you did with all this cryptocurrency nonsense. And maybe you should pay attention better to some criticism from smaller YouTubers, and maybe you would have avoided this whole scenario. And oh, by the way, Graham, you have another problem, which I will discuss in another video, that you need to address now because you're still making a mistake. But we'll talk about that later. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. You guys have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you later. Cheers!